touched on this yesterday, but maybe some of us have difficulty in thinking about the so-called enemy, the person that's harmed us, and generating compassion for them, right? But the point is, our compassion, ultimately, it benefits us. Whether it benefits the other person is actually hard to say. You know? And His Holiness Dalai Lama always gives this this example. You know, he smiles a lot wherever he goes and smiles at people. You know, and sometimes, you know, in different countries, different places, people, it's like they see him for the first time, and when he smiles at people, sometimes people don't smile back, right? But what he says is, you know, when he smiles and sees everyone else, right, he's happy, right? Then the person he's smiling to, whether they get some happiness or not, it's kind of up to them, right? So our own compassion is the best tool to help us, you know, help our own minds first and foremost. And by generating a compassionate heart, then we feel automatically a connection with other people that we interact with on a daily basis. So especially now, so I know my friend Brianna, we both used to live in New York. And then, anyway, I once remarked to our mutual friend Amanda, you know, I worked like 2 blocks north of Grand Central Station, yeah, huge train station in New York, right? So one time I remarked on my whole like walk from the subway to work through this huge station, you know, as I walked through, I was looking at people and no one made eye contact with me. Not one person, you know? You understand? I passed probably, I don't know, how many hundreds of people, not one person. And I was looking. So even though we live in these, you know, big cities, New York and Delhi or wherever, Bangalore, then people are very much missing this like feeling of connectedness with others, you know? And this can cause loneliness. Even though we're not alone, there's many people around us, but there's still feelings of loneliness that come, yeah? So actually having a thought of compassion very much helps us be open and gives us, at least from our side, it helps us feel connected with everyone we meet, you know? And then, well, compassion actually then, it also becomes the best healer, right? We were talking a little bit earlier this morning about depression, and depression just is this we get very caught up in ourself and our own problems, and you know, me, and especially poor me, these feelings of you know, self-deprecation. But just changing our orientation from my problems, my suffering, to the suffering of others, then our own problems evaporate. And especially, you know, the problems that most of us have, it's very, very small actually. But when we only think about it, it appears to be so big, right? It appears to be such a big deal. So what I often suggest to people that, you know, I often suggest that to do kind of community service work, where they go out into the community and actually interact and help people that are less fortunate. And this right away, you have the opportunity to just get the joy from helping others, but also you see, like, what do I really have to complain about, you know, compared to so many people in the world. And that's actually why I do love India. I do love India, although I might have some criticisms about some aspects of it. But overall, I love India. I mean, we say you vote with your feet, right? Voting with your feet, you understand? So voting with my feet means I've chosen to live here, right? So anyway, but what's great about India is it gives us so many opportunities for practice, you know. And well, I'm not talking going off to the Himalayas to go in a cave, but when we think about the 6 paramitas, or the main practices of bodhisattvas, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, those 3 especially, we need other people, right? We need people who are in need to practice generosity. We need opportunities to violate ethical discipline, you know, to practice ethical discipline. And we need people to annoy us so that we can practice patience. Yeah? Now, hold on guys, I see some smirks and smiles. One thing that happens a lot, or happens sometimes, maybe not with you, but don't get into this with now you guys all in the same Dharma center, don't get into this thing. Oh, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to practice patience. That also happens, okay? You're thankful in your heart, but don't tell the other person, right? Because basically when you say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice patience, what are you implying? You're getting on my nerves, right? So, and on a larger scale, right, even our practice of compassion is only possible because of the existence of suffering sentient beings, you know? So, on one level, the fact that we're able to attain enlightenment in the future is because there's suffering in the world. You know what I mean? So that just in and of itself is the reason why we should view all these sentient beings, even the ones, and especially the ones that have harmed us, as being very precious, like wish-filling jewels. And that one that we cultivated in our meditation, that troublesome sentient being that has harmed us, you know, then that's the one, you're right, if we don't develop compassion for them, then we don't have compassion for all sentient beings. If we don't have compassion for all sentient beings, we don't have the mind of bodhicitta. If we don't have the mind of bodhicitta, we don't attain enlightenment. So actually, that one sentient being, the troublesome one, right, the one that's hurt us, on that level, is the most precious of all the sentient beings. Because it's like, that's the one that our enlightenment depends on. Do you know what I mean? So that's the one to really cherish a little bit extra, you know, a lot bit extra. I see in movies sometimes in the US, yeah, there's some like grocery stores, and then like the millionth customer, like somehow confetti comes down and it's like, the millionth customer, yeah, you win this, whatever, right? Does that really happen? Maybe, right? Yeah? I don't know. She doesn't watch movies, jeez. Like,
I watch movies.
oh, okay. Anyway, there is this, I've seen it in a movie, okay? So now, actually, for there to be 1 million customers, each one of the customers, right? If one of them hadn't come, right, then there'd be no 1 million customers, right? But it's the 1,000,000th one, like the last one, that's like the big party, right? So similarly, yeah, okay, on one level, all sentient beings are as precious. So what I'm saying is, for this last most troublesome one, right, it's training our mind, thinking that they're the most precious one, because they are the one that is the most difficult. So actually in the Sakya tradition, when they do this meditation of the meditating on compassion, the troublesome one they meditate on first. You know? Right? But if you can, it's good, but we do it the other way, like gradually, you know, from the easy to the difficult. Yeah. So anyway, the joy of compassion. And actually, see, how compassion then becomes the greatest source of healing. Maybe just to tell the story of a Sangha. You all know? Maybe you don't know. But I think a Sangha is on this. But I was actually thinking, this is just my opinion, you have the Tanka of Shakyamuni Buddha there, yeah? Then you could have on the right and left, on the right hand side, a Sangha, on the left hand side, Nagarjuna. Because those, this is just my opinion, because those are the what's called the Shinta Solche, or the great trailblazers of the two. And usually in the Lamrim merit field, you'll see like that, and then surrounding like this.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if somebody would give me that. So thank you.
Yes, it's okay. Anyway, so Asanga was a great master, and he was meditating on Maitreya, Maitreya Buddha, trying to receive a direct vision of Maitreya. Maitreya is the next Buddha to come. And so, was meditating in a cave, and then would meditate for 3 years, and then still no vision of Maitreya. So would like give up. But then each time he would like leave the cave, and then he would see a certain sight, right? So first time, I think he sees a person with like a big iron kind of block, and then he and a cloth, and was like rubbing the iron block, and he'd say, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm making needles." And next to the guy, there's a pile of needles, you know, that he ostensibly had made by like wearing down this huge iron block until the thing of the needle. So someone was like, "Oh my gosh, like, if this person has that much perseverance to do that, then of course I should persevere more in my meditation practice." Goes back to the cave. Does more. Then again, 3 years comes out, and what was it this time? Maybe something like the top of the cave, like it was all jaggedy rocks, but then one part had been like totally smooth. Then he sees like pigeons going into it, and the thought is, well, from the feathers just kind of touching the rock, they had gone in and out so many times that the rock had been worn smooth. So he's like, okay, well, even if pigeon feathers can wear rock smooth, then of course I can persevere in my meditation. Now, the third sight. Anyway. What?
I think the water dripping.
Yes, water dripping, yeah, okay.
Yeah, making the hole.
Making a what?
Big hole on the
Hole.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, nice. I like that. That sounds plausible. So water dripping from the top of the cave, and then there's a big pool somewhere. Okay, so anyway. So the point is, there's all these signs, yeah, whereby this kind of little effort, right, over an extended period of time can lead to just amazing results, right? If for long enough, you know, we even just use a piece of silk on a piece of, you know, block of iron, we can make a needle, right? So this is all to just encourage us, you know, not to give up in our practice, okay? But anyway, that's another point. At the end of 12 years, right, he leaves, and he's really fed up this time, right? It's like, okay, no, that's it. You know, I'm not going to be fooled by no water dripping or birds flying and all this stuff. I'm leaving. He goes out, and he sees a dog, a female dog, with a wound on the side of the body, and is just overcome with compassion for the dog, and goes there and sees that actually the wound is infected and there are maggots in the dog's body. So then, and the dog, yeah, is obviously sick. So then thinks, okay, I have to, you know, clean the wound, but oh, wait a minute, I don't want to kill these maggots. So what he does is actually cuts a piece of flesh from his own body, and then rather than, you know, trying to remove the maggots with the tweezers or something, thinks, okay, if I do something hard, it might damage the delicate body of a maggot. So then, like, bends down and is going to remove him with his tongue. Okay? Can you imagine? So when he does that, closes his eyes, then opens his eyes, and actually Maitreya was there. Okay? So because of Asanga's karmic obscurations, yeah, it was Maitreya the whole time, but couldn't see Maitreya as Maitreya, but only saw as this dog who took that form so that Asanga could generate compassion. And that thought of compassion, okay, here we're not even talking about all sentient beings, but the compassion for one sentient being, this dog, yeah, and the willingness to cut his own body and, you know, remove the maggots with the tongue. I can't even imagine doing that myself, but from the power of that compassion, purified so much karmic obscurations that was then able to receive a vision of Maitreya just then. So, very, 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 very amazing. The stories that are told and retold, even in modern times, about people with HIV getting cured and cancer, it's primarily the power of compassion that serves as the greatest purification for our negative negativities. And through that purification, when the cause is purified, then the result of the disease or so forth is also purified. Anyway, so that story is a favorite amongst Tibetans. Have you heard that before, Brianna? Yeah? Nice. Okay, so now we have a little bit of time left. we have been talking up until this point about, compassion, and I want to get into a little bit more on the thought transformation side of things, okay? So, we had said earlier how the mind is the forerunner of all, or how the mind determines our experience. And it does so on two ways. One is the karmic seeds that we accumulate today, ripen then as pleasurable or unpleasant experiences in the future. That's one. But even in the moment, how we think about our lives, how we think about our situation, determines the reality. Okay? So here, when we talk about thought transformation, what we try to transform is the thought that views our problems or our disease or our suffering as being 100% bad. Okay? So, as we mentioned yesterday in this Shantideva text, talking about the good qualities of suffering, it was in, remember, stanza 21. Furthermore, suffering has good qualities. Through being disheartened with it, arrogance is dispelled, compassion arises for those in cyclic existence, evil is shunned, and joy is found in virtue. Okay? So, just to go over again, that when we suffer, being disheartened with it means cyclic existence, right? So only when we experience some kind of suffering do we then feel this urge or desire to be free from it. Yeah? Our arrogance is dispelled, meaning, this kind of pride or arrogance that thinks that, we're better than others, and thereby we don't need to benefit them, because, for example, one, if we are wealthy or well off, we meet someone who's poor, then it's like, I'm so good, I worked hard, I'm smart, I deserve being wealthy, you're just a lazy bum, why should I help you? Okay? Right? Happens. Then the other thing is this arrogance about, maybe this professor had this, like, I already know enough, I don't need to, do any more training or do any more development of my mind, and thereby get complacent in our practice. Okay? So when we experience suffering, then it's like, okay, how prideful can we be if we still experience suffering uncontrollably? Okay?